Hey guys, I have another redstone video for you today, and in front of me is an always on 3x3 lamp door. Now before we get started, I would like to preface this video with one giant big flashing red warning sign stating that this thing is one of the creations I was referring to in my channel update video, if you guys saw that, where basically this door does not work in the newest version of Minecraft as of the making of this video, which is 1.11. Now, due to this mechanic here of the sticky piston retracting the minecart, this door actually only works in two major Minecraft versions, and that would be 1.9 and 1.10. So as sort of an apology for that, of me being so slow with updating that in fact that this door is not even relevant anymore, I actually have two doors that are not relevant. The one on the right is basically the same concept as the one on the left. The only thing that is different is that the tops are different, and the one on the right is slightly smaller. It's one less in height, as you see there, but there is one more limitation, as if the update restriction wasn't already enough. As you see here, this is using a stair block in the hallway. It needs to be a transparent block, otherwise this piston would not work properly. But yeah, these things, like I said, are basically exactly identical on the bottom. In fact, they are exactly identical. So when the time comes to make the decision on what top you're going to build, I'll have you guys decide there. But for now, we can just get started on the tutorial. Actually, before I start the tutorial, I forgot to give a shout out to the two people who helped me make these creations, and that would be Roudone and Itslucid. They're really amazing redstoners, but I don't think they have active YouTube channels. So instead, I'll leave the IP to my server in the description below where they're the most active, and you can find more of their awesome builds on their plots there if you'd like to. So yeah, check them out there. So now we can get started on the tutorial. Alright, so as usual, this is the layout for the door that you're going to need to make before we get started. And also, as usual, every single one of these pistons is a sticky piston. So our input is going to be down here, diagonal to that block like that. And to get started, we're going to need to place a hopper circuit. And this is just to give us some extra delay on the opening timings. And in there, we're going to need to place two unstackable items. Because that is going to be going into this line of dust here, and it needs to power it at the same time as that block there. So on this side, we're going to need to place just a tower of torches like this. And then we're going to need to place a torch there and a torch there. Then underneath this torch, we're going to need to place a sticky piston like that. And then to finish off this side, we need to do something a little bit curious. We're going to need to place a dust there going into a repeater on 3 ticks. And the reason why I say that is because it looks like it's powering nothing, because powering a torch like that does absolutely nothing. But instead, on the opening, this piston in the double piston is going to be butted, and to update it, we're going to need to use that timing from the repeater there. And so that's what that repeater is used for. And speaking of the opening circuit, we could get started on that right now. So from that torch there, you're going to need to want to place a repeater there. Oh, whoops, don't break it. You want to right click, not left click. Right click like that, and then block there, and that'll go into another tower of torches, except this one will be having some diagonal stuff like this. And then on the top one, you're going to need to place a repeater on 2 ticks going into a dust, and then on the bottom one, you could place a repeater on 3 ticks going into a block. And then in between that, you're going to want to place a immovable block. I'm just going to use a furnace. You could use obsidian or bedrock or whatever you want. And then on this side, we're going to need to place a double piston extender. And you may be asking yourself, wait, what? Why a double piston extender? And the reason for that is that this thing requires, I think it's 2 pulses, maybe 3 pulses to work. I forget. But either way, it only needs to pulse twice. And if we only have 1 piston there, then it'll just pulse infinitely. But instead, we use the top piston to re-grab that piston there. And with the right timings, that'll only make it pulse twice. And we're not going to power that top piston on the bottom just yet. Instead, that's going to be powered differently depending on which top you're going to choose. But yeah, that should be it for this bottom circuit. All we need to do is just fix this all up. Let me replace that like this. And we could try out the closing, but the opening will not work because, once again, we did not wire up that top piston yet. So closing works, and opening works decently well. It just needs a couple of pulses, and it should work fine. But that's it for the bottom circuit, and now is the time when you need to decide which of the tops you're going to make. And instead of linking it on the video, I'm going to have to link it in the description below, because I'm moving away from annotations, and Google for some reason does not allow me to link 2 times of a video in a card. That's what the new thing is. But yeah, so I'm just going to have to link it in the description below. Sorry for the inconvenience. Alright, so you chose to make the larger top, which we can get started on right now. So to get signal up from that dust, we're going to need to update a butted piston just like this. And then this is some pretty standard stuff. You're going to also want to place a repeater here and a dust there, and that'll just send that redstone block back down. And then from that same block, we're going to need to power another dust, which will power these two top pistons like that. Then we can come back to the top and place a sticky piston holding a redstone block there. And then we also need to send another signal with extra delay. In fact, we need to max out these two repeaters like this. And both that repeater and this redstone block will power this dust here, which will go into a repeater on 2 ticks, which goes into a sticky piston holding another redstone block. And I apologize, I forgot to actually include this in the layout. We need 2 sticky pistons there, and that'll hold a detector rail like that, and this rail is what's actually going to be powering that lamp when the door is closed. So once again, sorry about that, but now we could we can resume the redstone stuff. So yeah, first things first, we need dust there, and that'll go into a repeater on 4 ticks, and that repeater will power these 2 pieces of dust like that. And also, the other thing that this dust does is powers this C piston, which holds a redstone block, and that'll power that repeater there and the top piston of that double piston extender we made earlier there. Then we can come back to the top here, and we need to place a repeater on 1 tick there, and that'll power this hopper dropper. And we can place any item in that thing, and we need to get a signal through that block and from that comparator. And then that should be it for the door. All we need to do is just place our minecart there, and then we could test this out. So closing works great, that lamp turns on and stuff, and opening should work as well. So yeah, that's it for this video. If you just want to see how to make the larger top, if you want to stick around, then the smaller top will come up next. But it'll be a super awkward cut since I'm assuming that you clicked from the link and not continued to stay. So yeah, thank you for watching, and until next time, goodbye. Alright, so you chose the smaller top, but before we get started, we need to do some preparation. So first things first, I forgot to include this in the layout, sorry about that, but we need 2 sticky pistons there, and that'll hold the detector rail that powers the lamp when it's closed. And we also need to replace that door frame block with a stair like I mentioned earlier, or any other transparent block would do that can hold a rail. Then on the other side here, we just need to place an immovable block there. While we're making the door. You can remove that if you want to get it back when we're done making the door, but when we're wiring up that sticky piston, the back sticky piston to be exact, things could get messy, and we'll have to rebuild basically all these blocks there, which I don't want to do. So yeah, after that we can get started on the redstone. So let me grab myself some materials, and we can get started. So first things first, we need to send a signal up here somehow, and we're going to do that with this butted piston like that. And this is just some standard stuff, except that from that repeater, instead of going into a block, we're going to need to go into a dropper, and we'll make use of that in a second. But first we need dust there going into a repeater, which will power those 2 top pistons like that. And then we can come back to the hopper dropper circuit here. So any item will do in there. And then we need a comparator output going into a repeater on 4 ticks. And then we also need to send a faster signal to that same point, and we're going to do that with a sticky piston holding a redstone block, and both the repeater and the redstone block will power another sticky piston holding a redstone block. But for this piston to actually work on that sticky piston there, we're going to need to update it somehow, and we could just do that by placing a normal piston like that. And that'll just update the bottom one when the redstone block is extended. Then this is the part where I mentioned that the double piston extender could get screwed up if we don't have that immovable block there. So first things first, we need dust there, and that'll go into a repeater on 4 ticks. And that'll go into dust on a slab there. Then we're going to need another C piston holding a redstone block, except it's going to be here. And we're going to need a dust there going into a repeater on 2 ticks, and that'll be powering that block there, which will power the middle part of the double piston extender when it's closed, and also these 2 pistons like that. And that should be it. All we need to do is place the minecart there, and we can remove the furnace or whatever block you placed there earlier. And yeah, we could just test this out. So closing works great. and opening also works great. So that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, sorry for the lack of uploads and for the fact that these two doors are completely useless in the newest updates. But I should have more interesting and working and useful content in the near future. So yeah, thank you for watching once again, and until next video, goodbye.